So welcome back to another episode of the RAG Report, your daily bulletin podcast, where I bring to you owners, founders of recruitment agencies and suppliers in the recruitment industry to really give thoughts, experience, ideas on how we can all tackle this unprecedented COVID-19 situation. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Darren Ryemill, the founder of Opus Talent Solutions. Opus are a very well-known recruitment agency with global offices, over 200 staff, and I'm sure they're feeling the pain of this just like anybody else. So thanks for so much for taking the time out, Darren. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, Sean, good to see you, mate.
Yeah, always. So look, Darren, let's just get straight into it. What the hell's going on for you right now?
It's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy times. To be honest, I know as much as anyone else, which is, this is just completely unprecedented sort of like situation that we're all going through. It's going back a few weeks ago, when it seemed it was everyone else's problem. The virus was in China, and then we heard about Italy, and I think like anyone who didn't really know what to make of it, I don't think many of us would have predicted that we'd have got here, just a few weeks ago. So, yeah, who knows where it's going to end up? But it's difficult and challenging times, and I think everyone's just got to dig in and try and get through as best they can at the moment.
So you don't act as a CEO anymore, right? You've stood away from that a few years ago now.
Yeah, that's right. So Amy Golding took over the role of CEO. Basically, the company had just got to a point where I felt we needed a different voice, a different sort of like mindset. Amy's skill set is very different to mine in the sense of, I loved it when it was small, exciting, entrepreneurial sort of startup phase. And Amy came in and, whilst we're having really fantastic growth, Amy came in and really made us think about what we're doing, made sure we're making sensible decisions. So Amy came in as a CEO, but Amy's now actually on maternity leave. So I think she went on maternity leave in February. So she timed it just right, just before the virus kicked in. And now we've got a guy called James Kelly, who's standing in as the CEO. He used to be CEO of Lorien, brilliant guy, absolutely brilliant. So, and again, he offers something different to Amy as well. So it's quite nice having having a new set of eyes on it, but also in James like a safe pair of hands as well.
Yeah. So how are Opus approaching this situation in the last 7 days?
To be honest, we're having to be, as dynamic and think on our feet as anyone else. We're along with everyone else, we heard the announcement from the government on Friday saying, they're going to pay 80% of wages, and you sort of think, well, that could be really helpful. Should we need that? But it's far more complicated than just, the government's going to pick up 80% of wages. The irony, Sean, is that we actually, March is our best trading month for about 6 months. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's I'm touching wood. I'm touching every bit of wood around me at the moment. But so we were coming into this in a healthy situation. The reality now is that nobody knows how long this is going to go on for, how deep it's going to be. It's a little bit like back in the financial crisis, 10, 11, 12 years ago, whatever it was, and everyone knew there was a problem, but didn't know how long it was going to last, didn't know how long it was going to be here. And you just got to try and do the right things on almost a day-by-day basis. Every day, every week that you're presented with a situation, you've got to be as reactionary as you can be. Everyone talks about, you've got to be proactive, and yeah, you do. You have to try and map out what you can do, stay loyal to the long-term vision. But the reality is that we all need to react. A lot of businesses, I talk for Opus and a lot of other recruitment companies out there as well, we're going to be reactive to what our clients need. If our clients go, we're not recruiting anybody, then we got a problem. Likewise, and I genuinely feel that Opus are better positioned than many others for this because, we work in the tech industry. We're providing people for that tech space, that digital transformation space. And of course, as people are needing to work from home more and more, there's a bigger emphasis on, the tech departments, digital transformation departments, can they be set up? So we're actually finding that some of our clients are reaching out to us to try and find, resources to help them sort of staff this and get through this period themselves. So, it's wrong to say we're protected, because no one's protected, but, being in that tech sector does give you some element of reassurance.
It's definitely a better place to be than others. For example, if you recruited teachers right now, you'd be pretty worried, wouldn't you, after what's happened in the last few days? What's your involvement then? So obviously, James running the business. A week ago, I imagine you probably had a different level of involvement than you do right now.
I'm in a fortunate position, I guess, that I'm a nuisance to whether it's Amy or James. I think I loved my time as a CEO. I really did. We had great trajectory of growth. Everything was fantastic, and I loved my job. But as things went on, I was spending more and more time in board meetings, and that's not me. I think I sat there one day and I was like, we were talking about cash flow and profit and loss and balance sheets and how we needed to speak to the solicitors about this and the bank about this. And I found myself just looking out the window thinking, what the hell is this all about? So it just didn't strike any interest in me whatsoever. And I thought, this is where somebody else needs to come in and do this. And so, but I'm still actively involved in the sense of, we do have the board meetings. I can get involved with sort of strategic things about the business, about where the direction we're going in and that. But I'm not, well, no one's in the office at the moment, but I was going to say I'm not in the office every day. I'm not doing that. So it's sort of freed up a little bit of time for me to...
Have they pulled you back in though? Have you been in a position in the last week though where they've been leaning on you for more questions and information and feeding information more regular?
Yeah, a little bit, only in the sense that we're now in a position where a lot of big decisions need to be made. So a couple of weeks ago, we made the decision to shut down our Hong Kong office. We were out in Hong Kong, and bless them, we had some really good people out in Hong Kong. But the guys out there just couldn't catch a break. I mean, about a year ago, they had the hurricane, tornado, whatever it was. If you remember the pictures, cranes falling down, falling through buildings. We had all of our office. It was just washed out. It was flooded all on the bottom floor of the office. Wow. Then we had the Hong Kong riots. I was over there for that period, the Hong Kong riots, and now the coronavirus completely just sort of crippled the situation out there. So we made a decision to let's try and repatriate the staff we can repatriate. The Australian office is going great guns. Yeah. We have a decent and expanding European presence. So let's see if we can repatriate people into Australia and across Europe, and just kind of almost like just breathe again with regards to Hong Kong. So that was one example of a big thing. So they're asking me my opinion, because obviously my opinion is not any better than anyone else. In fact, it's probably worse than the other guys. But it's just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Are we all in agreement? This is the way forward. The guys out there just couldn't do their job. It wasn't safe for them to go to work. It was just the whole situation got to be a mess. So made a decision to shut down the Hong Kong office. Ironically, we've been able to replace a lot of the people in other offices around the globe. So we've managed to retain a lot of the staff. So whereas we did have the expense of that office, now we're saving on that, and I don't think we're worse off because of it necessarily.
Fair play. So going back to 2008, when you started Opus, so you started at the worst time possible in a way.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? It was we set up in 2008, like you said, and I can't remember the exact date when Lehman Brothers went bust, but it was just a phenomenal mess. It's like I say to everyone now, in the US they call it the Great Recession. In the Australia they call it the global financial crisis, and here in the UK we just call it the credit crunch, which kind of makes it sound like a little fun thing, like, the credit crunch is not a big deal. But the reality was, it was the longest, deepest recession in history. The banks completely were on the back foot. And because of that, the economy was really, really struggling for a period of time. There were not many people going out there sort of looking for work, or there weren't many companies taking people on. Even in the tech sector then, you found ourselves, we'd phone people up and they're like, look, Darren, we're having to get rid of people. We're having to, we're stopping this project. No, that's not happening. But like with everything, there's opportunity in there. In any kind of crisis situation, there is an opportunity. I mean, everyone knows is it a Chinese or Japanese word or symbol for crisis is the same as opportunity. So
really?
I say everyone knows. I don't even know. But no, there's the symbol is the same for opportunity and crisis. And I think you then have to like really think about what it is you're offering. And so back then, back in 2008, 2009, we had a chat. We're like, right, what is it that people want right now? If I'm going to the market saying, hey, do you want any help desk people? Or do you want any testers? Or do you want any, whatever it was, the standard stock positions were, they weren't necessarily in demand. At that time, apps on your phone just didn't really exist to the level they do now.
Yeah.
Every business needed an app strategy. We were phoning up clients. I phoned up one big insurance company and I said, look, I want to speak to you about these positions. The lady in HR was like, what are you doing? Have you not heard the news? We're making redundancies. And I said, yeah, but we're working with a candidate who's worked for a similar company to yours, building out their app strategy. And then you get put through to somebody who's relevant and looking and all of a sudden you're having a relevant conversation about an in-demand skill, because the companies can't just go, oh, well, we're just not going to bother with an app strategy. And there will be roles like that now. As I mentioned, there will be roles that facilitate people working from home that are now more important that they're getting right.
Yeah.
So whether it's Opus, whether it's 12, you just need to think about what is in demand now. Where can we go and can we find some positions and some roles? And so it's about trying to navigate yourself through the.
How big was the agency back then? Just like 2 or 3, or?
When we started off, I mean, there's myself, Nigel Romano, Ryan Speed, all the three of us are all still going. And I mean, we might have been up to half a dozen staff, something like that, maybe, but it wasn't, maybe 6 to 10, maybe something like that. But we weren't. We weren't crushing it by any stretch of the imagination. We were vulnerable, and I can remember thinking, we just got to do deals to survive. It was, that was how it was. We just had to find a good candidate and try and place it.
Did you have to make difficult decisions back then? Was there anyone you had to let go?
Not in the sense of that the business couldn't afford people. I think we had to really think about the type of people we were hiring. So I remember at the time, we were looking at, do we want a trainer? Do we want an HR person? Do we need an admin person? And these kind of, I think these are important, important people in any organization. But for us at the time, it was probably the step of where we needed to go, not the step to where we were. So we kind of had to rein it in a little bit like that. But so the difficult decisions in the sense of you weren't expanding or doing necessarily what you thought was in the long-term good of the business, but not difficult as in you weren't letting people go.
4 weeks ago we had this meeting where it was about the plans this year and the team and the hires and all this stuff, and it's like, internally at Hoxo we've had to say, well, all of that's basically going on hold right now, because it's all about protecting our clients, supporting the people that are working with us. Obviously, we actually did sign a couple of clients last week, which was, I didn't think would be possible, but there were businesses that were prepared to want to fight through this period. So they're like, now's a good time. We've got money in the bank. We're a lean team. We think now's a good time as we're at home to invest in marketing and start actually pushing our brand out, because we've actually seen online engagement go through the roof in the last week. We've seen for ourselves and our clients, people are spending time at home, and that, that's, there's going to be less opportunity to be doing the same things, less distraction. So they're going to be online, reading, consuming. That's why people listen to this show, because they've got the time to do it. How have Opus gone to a working from home situation? Because I don't think you had that set up before, or you were more of a. I've been to your offices in London. It was very people. It was like a loud, proper sales floor. I imagine you've had to change rapidly.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a culture shock for me to actually get my head around it. I think the reality is that the staff themselves, they're used to working remotely anyway. All of them are in touch with candidates on their mobiles. Whether it be in the evenings, weekends. They're just sending emails off their phones. They're used to doing this kind of setup. Where you're doing video interviews and or conference calls. So it's probably just old people like me that find it more difficult to get my head around, to be honest. We were pretty much set up anyway. Everybody's got a laptop. The ones that didn't have a laptop, I think there were like 10, 12 people globally. they didn't have a laptop, they were using a desktop, but they've been given laptops. They've all got remote logins to everything they need to use. Their managers can still, log in, see what they're doing, help manage their day. So people aren't too isolated. They're all having their remote login sessions at their weekly roundups. We believe in hunting packs kind of team. We like being a team. We like to talk to each other what we're doing, share wins, share losses so we can learn from it. And so we do have that kind of huddle kind of attitude about things. They have a morning meeting, they have a catch-up meeting before lunch, meetings sort of like at the end of the day where they have these scrum boards where they talk about their plans, what they're doing. And they've still been doing it. They've still been all remotely logging in and doing it. And I was really thinking about this because you can have two outlooks, two polarizing outlooks. One is that everybody is lazy and they're just going to sit there in their pants and do nothing from home all day and eat cake. That's me. That's
probably not the people you should hire if that's what you think. But.
And this is it. And this is exactly it. Because then you can have the people that actually are motivated, that do want to do well in their career. And these are the people you're trying to hire anyway. So ultimately, like anything in life, it's only coming back to your judgment. So if we got our judgment right and we've employed people that do care, that do want to, do the best they can in their career, that are committed and, motivated and all these things, we've got nothing to worry about because whether they're sat in an office, and I still go back to, I still prefer everybody being in an office because I do think there's something in that, as you described, that kind of energy, that sort of like, that camaraderie kind of sort of like the thing that you get. But what we're proving now is that actually we're perfectly capable of people working from home. We had a few people that work from home anyway. There were some people that could do that, not in the recruiter positions. The recruiters were always in the office. But then, like I said, they all at some point worked from home because if they were just speaking to a candidate on an evening or on a weekend or, anyone out there that, all of your audience are probably recruiters or into recruitment have got some weird recruitment fetish when they're watching this. But so everyone knows what a recruiter's job is and a recruiter's life is like. It's not 9 till 5.
It can't be. The people will show up themselves though. The ones that aren't going to be committed and do take it as a bit of a jolly, they'll show themselves up pretty fast. Like it's going to be pretty clear, and there'll be, people who are struggling, they're hitting walls. They're going to be asking for help. You expect they're going to be asking for help, saying, "Look, I'm doing what I normally do and it ain't working. Like, how can you help me?"
Yeah.
I like that idea though. Go on.
Sorry. And then there's people that, whether they're in the office or outside of the office, they'd be asking anyway because they are committed to wanting to do better. They're like they're waking up in the morning thinking, "How am I going to be better this time tomorrow? What can I do to add value to my life? Not how can I watch Homes Under the Hammer and get away with it?"
What do you think?
Brilliant, by the way.
What do you? Yeah, it's great. What do you think? What's your advice for recruitment owners right now? Like, I put a post up on Saturday morning, which has had nearly 100,000 views on LinkedIn now, where I basically said, I think every recruitment agency is different. I think no one actually knows what's going on inside these organizations. I've seen a lot of posts last week about knee-jerk reactions and people being so disappointed, and it's typically been some rec-to-recs who've been small businesses that have been saying, why are people knee-jerk reaction? And look, there might be a bit of that out there, but on the whole, I believe that most people making those decisions, it's a fucking horrible decision to make. They're not doing it because they want to do it. And on the whole, again, exceptions aside, they're doing it for the survival of their business. They're making decisions to try and ensure that they protect the core of their business. You've been through so much in your period of time. What if you're advising a recruitment agency now, whether they're small, medium, or same size as you? What's your advice to them? How do they need to navigate it?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. Everyone is different. There's going to be some agencies out there that are pretty much hand to mouth in terms of they need to be doing deals to be able to survive, and that's not to criticise them. That could be because they're experiencing phenomenal growth, and so they've just been invested in that, or there could be agencies out there that are just sat on big pools of cash. It could be that someone's got a rich dad and he's just gone, "Don't worry about it, son. You just sit in there and you do whatever you need to do, and I've got your back." That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Sadly, I don't have that. But I think that the reality is everyone's just got to try and manage it the best they can. I don't know anyone that's ever enjoyed sacking people or having to let people go. It's horrible. Even when I've had to do it to people that are just fundamentally real dickheads. we all make bad hires, and you're there and you're thinking, oh my God. But it's never an enjoyable experience, that letting somebody go. So I've got sympathy for all of the people that are in that position. And likewise, there's no one who ever gets into a job thinks, oh, I hope this ends soon. You take a job because you believe that you can grow your career there and it can do what you need it to do for you. I think all I would say is everyone just has to kind of, the best advice from before I can give is think. So engage your brains now. Start thinking about, right, what can we do now, like today, this week, this month, that will help us get through this period. It won't last forever. Okay, so there is going to be some potential pain. All right, this is just part of it. And I was talking to somebody today, and I said, look, I made a choice to set up on my own. Okay. We know that there's risk in that. Okay, so every business owner out there knew there was risk in setting up their own company, and I knew that. Okay, so I don't think that necessarily is the time for us all to be crying and asking for bailouts and going, oh, it's not fair. I was happy to take all the benefit of it when it was going really well, but now it's not going so well. I don't want to be in any way liable or penalised or whatever. I don't think we should be protected. But there are a lot of people that haven't made that choice and are looking to just sort of they have to pay their mortgage, they have to that. So stick with your beliefs. If you've hired people, try and stick with them as long as you can. You're right, you've got to look after the core business first, but if you've made a decision to hire them, stick with them. Back your own decision that this person is going to come good, and in turn obviously back them and give them that chance. It's not going to be easy. Do you know what I mean? It's not. I think be prudent. I've been speaking to the bank. Like I said, our March is one of our best trading months ever. Best trading month for 6 months on the perm side of the business. One of our best months we've had. I'm talking to the bank now. What can we do? How can you support us if we need it? If I need an extra however much on the overdraft, can you give me that? If I need this, can you do that? And I think the earlier you're having these conversations, the better. Be honest with people. It's not in anyone's interest that all these businesses go pop.
No.
It's just kind of hold your nerve, do the right things, have the conversations with the right people, try and believe in yourself to make the right decisions to get through it, and to believe in your people to, like we said before, to have that, that motivation. They want to fight their way out of it. Everyone at Opus, wants to fight their way out of this sort of like period of time and come out of it with big commission checks and all the rest of it, and like they would have done anyway. So, yeah, I think
there's been a lot of comments about, why would a recruitment agency hire these people if they're going to let them go straight away within a week of a downturn? So you mentioned before, there's some reasons why businesses are hand to mouth, and sometimes it's they're spending the money. They're just living. They're just living too. The owners are living too big a lifestyle. Like there's zero cash reserves. But when you talked about growth, let's get into the mindset of that. Why would a business invest rapidly in growth that might put them in a difficult position now? They might not have the cash reserves they would have had if they've not invested. Why would they even be doing that? Because I don't think some people understand it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so if you look at us, as Opus, I can only really speak about us and what we experience. So we're the only recruitment company ever to be on the Virgin Fast Track 5 times. Okay, it would have been 6 times. So that would have put us level with Brewdog, who they've been on the Virgin Fast Track more than anyone else. I hate Brewdog. I don't know.
Why did you not get the 6th time?
They changed the rules. It was back in 2014, I think it was, and they changed the rules for recruitment companies. And so that would have been our 3rd. I think we had 2012, 2013. They changed the rules in 2014, so we didn't get on it. And then we got on it again for the next 3 years. So, but anyway, we had the rate of growth. And that, ironically, honestly, does my head in. That year was actually our best ever compound growth number. So we'd have placed higher than ever before. Anyway, sorry, come on.
Get over that one, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to let it go, otherwise. Anyway, so But so we were experiencing this phenomenal growth, and we got to a point, we set up from nothing in a recession. We're then turning over $100 million globally. But in order we achieved that without any external investment. So that meant we had to earn a pound to spend a pound. And that pound was not being spent on me and whatever it was, good stuff. It's going back into the business. And everybody that runs recruitment companies know that you hire somebody hoping that they're going to be successful. There's no guarantee of it. You might have 1 in 2, 1 in 3, whatever your ratios are of people that you take on as a trainee and goes on and makes it. So you're spending money, you burn to try and keep the growth going, because there's 10 of you, there's only so much you can bill. Even if you're the best 10 recruiters on the planet, you can only bill so much. Yeah. So you need an 11th one and a 20th one and a 50th one, a 200th one to be able to grow it. So of course the money's then going out. So you're not just keeping the money in the bank in reserve for when you have a bad day. You're gambling the future of my wealth, because you could try. You're gambling the future of my wealth, of the business, of people's jobs. You're gambling. That's how it is, and that's how you're going to get the growth in it. And if you don't go into it with that kind of gamble mindset, now of course it's a calculated gamble, because you're looking at yourself thinking, well, I'm going to make the right decisions. You're looking at the people you're taking on, thinking these people are going to be successful and propel the business forward. But ultimately, it's you're gambling. And so you get to a point, every time you open up a new office, if a new office goes well, it might cost us $250,000, like minimum. Wow. Of investment. If you say, look at our New York office, which is doing well now, but it's been going for a couple of years, I think we've got about £1 million deep into that, and so these things are expensive. Now again, it's profitable. New York's doing really well. It's growing. It's in a good spot. But you've got this money. It costs a lot of money, to do these things.
So it is that risk. And I think anyone who's really going on a growth journey is probably going to have to risk a bit of their capital. They're gonna live in a slightly smaller, safe space, right? They're going to push the boundaries of safety, which means inevitably there's going to be people that, if shit hits the fan like this, they're going to have to make decisions fast because their monthly exposure is so high. And that was based on revenue projection and all the rest of it. And I think it's important to talk about that, because that's the one message I'm seeing. Loads of candidates, quite rightly, they're upset, they're pissed off that they've been let go. Why would you even bring me on if you're not safe enough as an organisation to last a week in a downturn? I think, having had conversations, most owners and leaders are going, this isn't even 2008. This is completely fucking different. This is absolutely no idea what the future looks like. Therefore, act fast or we could massively regret it. I think that's probably the mindset. And as sad as that means that there's people getting, they're being let go fast, as opposed to it going, well, let's give it a month or two. Because who knows what the hell's happening.
Everyone's nervous anyway. Look, let's just say coronavirus didn't happen. We could be doing this and we could be all scared to death like bloody Brexit. Yeah. What's going to happen? Oh my God, it's the end of the world, isn't it? Oh, Britain's falling off a cliff. Depending on who you want to believe in. And so much of this comes back to, as a business owner, you have to be able to just try and calm down, and whether it's really brilliant, Opus are going amazing, we're going to do amazing forever and we're always going to win. That's not true. And Opus is terrible, and that's not true either. I say to them, as long as there's ever been data on this, I think the British economy has been about the 4th, 5th, 6th biggest economy in the world, right? And I reckon after Brexit and after this, the British economy is going to be like the 4th, 5th, or 6th biggest economy in the world. It's just how it is. It's all going to be okay. Right now, you've got to ride the ride a little bit. There are going to be good days, bad days, or whatever. But don't allow ourselves to just talk ourselves into a state of depression and a state of just like fear of everything. It's too easy to just be all the messages we get these days, like come from somebody whose job it is to stress you out and panic you, then you just don't go, do you know what? It's going to be all right, guys. You know, it's like,
put that article out. Let's see how it goes.
What a crap news story. You know, you go on the politics show. You know, the politics people don't ever say, oh, well, what a really good answer by a really sensible politician. Let's go, why did you do that? No, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, and everyone's job is to wind each other up and stress each other out, because that's what gets attention. You know, it's sadly, it's what gets attention in the modern world. I think as a business owner or a manager or just as a human being, you know, it's just like, let's try and take stock and go, right, what actually are the things here that we need to worry about? That we might have 3 bad months of coronavirus. We might have 6 bad months of coronavirus. But then it's going to turn and it's not going to be coronavirus. And it's going to be the next big thing that's going to destroy us, and it's all gone wrong. And whether, you know, I speak to people like in the last 12 months, we've had Boris Johnson's going to ruin everything. You know, Trump, Brexit, Theresa May. That was a big disaster, wasn't it? We had to worry about that.
IR35, GDPR. We're just hit by
exactly. IR35, whatever it is. It's just like, guys, it's fine. Just like everyone calm down. I can't remember what I started going on about.
Well, Uncle Darren just said it'll all be okay, so I feel better now. I feel much better. Well, what's going on? How are you coping with self-isolation, Darren? You took a long enough trying to sort your headphones out, so I imagine you've got the family sorting all of it out for you right now.
I got my wife's just running around, just basically. I think she hates having me here. I think she'd be quite happy when self-isolation's over. Although saying that, I went at the golf club this morning. Golf club's still open. So I played a round of golf by myself. Played my second best round of golf ever, Sean. So I was quite pleased with that.
Maybe it's because no one was around.
Exactly, yeah.
No one can prove it.
Yeah, exactly. I can make up whatever score I wanted.
Yeah.
It's like Kim Jong-il or whatever it is with Kim Jong-un he had his best golf right ever. He scored like 6 hole-in-ones or something.
Really? Yeah, I bet he did. So what are you seeing family? Are you trying to keep your distance?
No, my mum and dad are a bit older. They're in that age range where to
gotta be careful.
They need to be left alone. Yeah, and so you kind of, and my kids are obviously off school. They live with their mum, and they're sort of like self-isolating as well. So hopefully I'll get to see them.
That's just crazy, isn't it? I've got a dog, French bulldog, running around non-stop, and he loves it. He's like, "It's Christmas. You're here all day. Everyone's around me all the time." So I'm like, "Oh God." But look, I really hope. I hope there's just more and more clarity comes out of this sooner than later. I don't think anyone knows what's going on, but the government's announcement on Friday, like you say, the initial euphoria was incredible. I was getting text messages left, right and centre. After that, actually, you looked at it, you thought, I don't even know what this really means and whether or not it's... Because the fear is that you put someone on 80% and then 3-6 months pass and then you're liable to bring them back in and your business might not even be in the same shape. You might not have the revenues to support those salaries. So we're not like shops, bars, restaurants where, we open the doors and it's business as usual. Recruitment companies and marketing agencies and service-based businesses that build teams purely based on revenue and projection, they're going to get hit. And it's just so uncertain. But Darren, thanks for taking the time out, mate. You could be speaking to your family. You've took the time for the recruitment owner community. I've been trying to get you on the official RAG podcast for about a year. You've always said, "Oh yeah, mate, no worries, we'll definitely do it, mate." And every time I send you a link, you don't know your tech way around here. You ignore the link. We're gonna get once we're back in the office, we're gonna get you into the Hoxo HQ to talk about the story of Opus, which I didn't want to try and do that too much today because this is not the point of the RAG report. There's going to be a lot of people listening and enjoying this and be waiting for that story. So let's get that booked in as soon as we can.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. And I promise I'll do it. I don't know why I've been so useless with it. I think every time you suggest it, I'm like either away or I've got something on or something.
Whatever. You're just at the golf club hitting holes in ones. That's what it is. Well, look, thanks so much, guys. That's me again, and that's the end of another episode of the RAG Report. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure Darren will be open to any questions if anyone wants to reach out to you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, please, no abuse, please.
No abuse. Just any. If you do want any direct feedback or any insights, drop him a note. Likewise, I'm getting lots of messages every day at the minute. Keep them coming. I'll always come back to you. And look, let's share this podcast. Let's share the thoughts, the experiences that we're hearing from these great leaders, and make sure we're together, we're stronger. If we protect each other, we're much, much stronger in times like this. I'll be back again tomorrow with another unique story, another idea and take on what's going on with COVID-19. In the meantime, stay safe, and I will see you then.